I'm going to show you how to make paper daffodils. Here's what you'll need to make them. You'll need some crepe paper in yellow and in green. You'll need some strips of paper to make the stalk, a knitting needle or a skewer, a pencil, some scissors, some glue, and one of my favourite things in the whole world, a tea bag. I should warn you now, this project gets very gluey. Starting with a strip of A4 paper, cut lengthwise about 2 centimetres across, add a line of glue down one side, and then take the non-gluey corner and roll that around the length of a knitting needle or a skewer. And this is how we make the paper straw for the stem. These are exactly the same as the straws I made for the St Bridget's cross, so if you've got some of those left over, you can reuse them for this project. This is the template for the trumpet of the daffodil, the petals, the sheath round the back, which is the tea bag, and the stamen, the centre of the trumpet. You'll need to cut out one template for the trumpet and cut this on the fold of a piece of paper, so when you open it out it's twice as wide. This is the petal template and you'll need to cut out 6 petals. This is the sheath template and the rectangle for the stamen. I'm going to start by cutting out the petals from the crepe paper. You'll want the grain of the crepe paper running downwards. It's much easier to cut crepe paper out when you're cutting through a few layers. So I'm folding this over so I've got 3 layers about the width of the petal. Holding the template onto the crepe paper, cut around the edge. This will give me 3 petals and then I'll repeat this for another 3 petals, so I have 6 in total. With the leftover crepe paper, open it out and fold it in half, and that should give you enough to fold over the trumpet template over the fold of the crepe paper. Hold it in place and cut around the edge. You can reuse these templates over and over again to make a whole bunch of daffodils. I'm going to use some smaller nail scissors here to cut the wiggly part of the trumpet. You only need 1 trumpet for each daffodil. This is the rectangle that I'll be using for the stamen. And once you've cut out this shape, cut in 4 slits, not going all the way down to the bottom. This creates 5 little strips all joined at the bottom. And now for the green crepe paper, and this time I'm going to cut across the grain. So I'm folding it loosely and cutting a strip about 1.5 centimetres across. I probably won't need all of this for one daffodil. And with a scrap left over from cutting out the petals, I'm cutting a very thin strip and then rolling it quite tightly and twisting it to make the central stamen of the flower. Now for the tea bag. I've had a lovely cup of tea, dried out the tea bag, and now if I snip the top off and empty out the tea, I'm left with this thin brown paper, which is perfect for the back of the daffodil. Cut around the template. You can get 4 of these sheaths out of 1 tea bag. And I want this to look realistic, so I'll give it a little bit of a scrunch. And that's ready to go. And now it's time to get really gluey. I'm starting with the stamen rectangle and a little bit of twisted crepe paper. Hold the twisted length on the edge of one of the little strips and roll it up like a sausage roll all the way to leave a little edge which you can add some glue to and stick and hold in place. Now for the trumpet. The first thing to do is to frill the edge, just like a proper daffodil trumpet. So make a movement as if you're going to rip a little slit in it, but don't rip. Just let the paper bend in your fingers. This is a little bit like crimping the edges of a Cornish pasty. Work your way all the way along the edge, and you should have created a lovely subtle frill, just like on a real daffodil trumpet. Add a line of glue down one side. And then roll the trumpet over your finger and stick it in place at the edges. Now back to the stamen. I'm going to add some glue to the bottom edge and then insert that into the trumpet so it's nearly at the bottom, but you can just about see it poking out when you look inside. Give it a good squeeze on that gluey part and then twist it all into place. Now I'm going to add more glue. So add some glue to the twisty part, and this is where we're going to attach the petals. And I'm going to attach the petals in sets of 3. So for my first 3 petals, I'm going to arrange them evenly spaced around the edge, just slightly overlapping. And with the next 3 petals, add some more glue and place those so they cover each gap that you've left between the other petals. And this gives you 6 petals in total. Give everything a good twist to hold it into place. Lay your paper straw just at the edge, add some more glue, and then take your teabag sheath and lay that over the top of the straw and around the petals. Keep hold of everything, add some more glue, and then take the end of the green strip of crepe paper, stick that onto the base of the sheath, give it a little stretch and wrap that all the way around the top, and that will hold the petals and the sheath onto the top of the stem. Add more glue in a long wiggly worm down the stem and wrap the green paper all the way down the length of the stem. This will get pretty gluey, but that's absolutely fine. All that glue will help strengthen the stem of the daffodil when it dries. And when you get to the end, rip off any excess green paper and smear the glue around a little bit. Now we've almost made a daffodil. You might want to give your hands a wash before this bit because you don't really want gluey petals. But taking the end of the petal and the knitting needle, roll the top of the petal just over the knitting needle or a pencil and work your way around the daffodil, gently giving the top of each petal a little squeeze over the top of the knitting needle. And this creates a much more natural looking daffodil petal. Now it's time to get intimate with the trumpet. Stick your finger into the trumpet, avoiding the stamen in the centre, and have a little push downwards, and that will open out the base of the trumpet just a little bit. Pull out the petals a little, just to make them more daffodil shaped, and you can work more to make the right shape of the daffodil once everything's dried. Everything will still be quite gluey at the moment, and that means you're able to put a bend in at the top of the daffodil without really damaging the stem. So very gently squeeze the top of the daffodil over into a very slight bend, and then leave that to dry. And that is your finished daffodil. I hope you enjoy making these as much as I do. Make a whole bunch, give them to your mum for Mother's Day, keep them in a vase on the shelf, or just enjoy the fact that you've created some very beautiful flowers.